Hello, welcome to Revive and Rise. I'm your host, Melody Parrish, and I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I want to talk today about when we're on our journey, our life journey, and we find ourselves in the woods. That's what I term it. But it's those middle moments along the way. Let's just imagine ourselves. You're going to start out a journey. You have packed or you're carrying enough food to last the journey, enough water to last for the journey, and you know your way and you are prepared. And you're wearing the appropriate clothes, the appropriate shoes, and you start off on your journey, and you understand everything about this journey, supposedly. You understand the climate of the environment. You understand all about the wildlife that you could see in the environment. You understand the topography. You understand all of these things. So you start out and you just walk forward. And you're just walking along, comfortable. But then all of a sudden you look up and you're lost. And you didn't even realize you got lost. You look around and you're surrounded by trees that all look the same. There's no more path. You don't even know how you got here. You were just walking along somewhere that you knew where you were going and how you were going, and all of a sudden, you don't know anything anymore. And this happens a lot to a lot of us. I know it's happened several times in my life. And the biggest question is, what do you do? What do you do? I remember this the last time this happened to me, and this is a very good example. The last time that this happened, I decided I couldn't. Well, it was about 4 years ago, and I couldn't express myself. I couldn't express my emotions. I couldn't express my thoughts. And so one thing that I wanted to try, me and my therapist came up with an idea of trying to paint my emotions and paint what I was thinking or feeling. So I highly recommend this to individuals that find themselves in a state where they can't express themselves or what they're thinking or what they're feeling or any of those things. I got 3 canvases and some acrylic paint, and I painted one canvas, and then I waited a couple months and painted another, and then waited a couple months and painted another. And, it was just painting, not even thinking about what I was doing, just painting, whatever. Anybody that knows me knows that I cannot paint. I can't. I'm not an experienced painter. I shouldn't say that I can't paint. I'm not an experienced painter, so I don't know a lot about painting. So basically, when I look back on these 3 canvases, it starts to begin to tell about my journey and about how I felt in those first few months. And in the middle, that second canvas, I painted the entire canvas is filled with trees. Trees of various shades of green, and then there's one tree that is yellow. But that, to me, was how I felt, like I was surrounded by trees, and all of them looked so similar, and I didn't know where to go. But I needed to get to this one tree. And sometimes that's how we feel in those messy middle moments of our lives, right? But it's in those messy middle moments where growth comes, where we learn about ourselves, where we can plan things, where we grow and we learn and form strategies. And that's what I want to talk about today. Those times when you look around and you don't know what to do for whatever reason. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's going on. And I can give you a real example. Was when my senior year of college, when I was in my car accident and I woke up in a hospital bed and I had no idea how I had gotten there. And that was a very tough moment, because the last thing I remembered was a few months before. And I was up, I was in college, I was walking and talking and, doing all the things that college kids do. And now I'm not doing that. And the question was, in my mind, was what happened between those two moments. And it was a how did I get here kind of thing. And that didn't come for a long time, but those are the things, right, that we're thinking. And the first thing that I can honestly say that we should that we should do, that we need to think about doing or try to do, would be to pause. I always think that before we do anything, before we take on any task, but especially when we're in those messy middle moments that we find ourselves in the woods, we need to just pause and ask ourselves, how did I get here? What happened? And where am I? Those kind of things that we need to just gain clarity on and try to understand, try our best to understand and to feel the emotions. And we can do that in various ways. One way that I have really learned works for me is to meditate. Meditating is not something that comes naturally, and it's not something that is easy. It's not an easy practice. But the mindfulness that it requires, I think, is so important. And when I first began practicing my meditation practices, I started with 1 minute, and that 1 minute grew to 3 minutes, grew to 10 minutes, grew to 20 minutes, and it just grew. But I think that's how we have to start. When you're on a journey and you pause and you look around to see where you're at, and you're trying to determine where you're going to go, the first thing you do is you take a step in the direction that you're going. So in that pause, we're thinking about where we're at, what we're feeling, maybe why we're feeling that, where we're going to go, and how we're going to get there. You're thinking about all these things. What do I want? What am I trying to accomplish? You're thinking of all these things, one, all, or something totally different, depending on the person. But these are the things that we generally think of. And then you take a step, and then you take another step, and then you take another step, then another, then another. And before long, you're actually going somewhere. And so that's what we need to remember to do, is to think about things, to plan things as best we can, and then take a step, whatever that may look like for you. I tend to, like I said, meditate. I have mindfulness practices that I like to do. It's very important to me to live in the moment. I don't want a moment to pass by that I don't live, that I'm not caught up in it, that I'm not all about this moment, that a moment that I'm not passionate about. In some way, it can be a good passionate or it can be a bad passionate, but I just have to, in my mind, I have to be able to feel. And I have to be able to be present. And with that, in a way, it's not worrying about what's going to happen, and it's not worrying about what has happened, but it's being present in that moment. And I feel like those are very important skills for us to develop, skills for us to have in our journey. But when we're there and we're all confused and we're lost and we don't know our way, that pause can be very important for us to gain knowledge, to gather knowledge, and to propel us forward in those moments. And I think that is very important, right? Very, very important. Those times. I try and think about those specific parts of my life where and I think another thing that we can do in these messy middle moments is to do something that we enjoy doing, to do something that brings us joy or that makes a difference in our lives. And for everybody, that's going to be different. For me, it's going outside. I love being outside. I love hiking and walking, going around any form of a body of water, be it the ocean, be it a lake, be it a river, some body of water. But it can be anything. Listening to music, uh, cooking, cleaning, any of these activities, dancing, whatever brings you joy, because it's in those moments of joy that we also gain clarity. It's in those moments that we are feeling that just rush of joy, that things become clear. Oh, this brings me joy. This is what where I should gravitate to. This is what brings me peace. This is where I need to get close to, or this is where what I need to do so that I can learn more about myself, so that I can take care of myself. In that same aspect of the joy, I think we also need to discover our passions, discover what brings us passion, be it a positive passion or a negative passion. What builds your heart, what breaks your heart. Those are the things that we need to explore in those messy middle moments, because those will help us to determine the direction that we're going to get out of the woods. Another thing that I've found that in those middle messy moments that has really helped me to gain clarity, to gain all of the necessary things I need to take care of myself, to educate myself, to gain knowledge about the world around me, has been when I follow those passions. And one thing I can definitely recommend is, if you need clarity in your life, if you need to discover something about yourself, find what breaks your heart and move towards that, and volunteer. I cannot recommend volunteering enough. I started volunteering when I was a child, and with volunteering in those childlike ways, going to the nursing home and singing for the residents at the nursing homes, or going to visit those people that can't leave their house, or those different things that children tend to volunteer. But then I carried that into my adulthood, and I've done so many different ways of volunteering, so many different things, and so many different experiences. Every one of them I've gained knowledge, has brought me some form of clarity to who I am, how the world works, and how people work. It's given me an emotional intelligence that I know I wouldn't have without that. And so I think that volunteering is a very, very, very necessary skill and thing that we can do, that we find in those messy middle moments. And what we find that builds our heart or breaks our heart, those things can change, and they don't have to be the same, but we just need to find them. Right now, I'm sure that all of us are wondering, what in the world can we do? This world is such a mess right now. This country is such a mess right now. And a lot of us are scared. A lot of us feel helpless and hopeless. And this is one of those, in my opinion, this is one of those messy middle moments for our country as well. And I know a lot of us it's like we're in the woods and we're looking around and there's no sign of life. There's no way out. There's nothing that we feel like we can do to add something positive to the world we're in right now. We're all feeling helpless. We're all not knowing, but there are so many different ways that you can help. And I'll just give you a few examples of different ways that you can help. There's all of them are needed. There's the protests that are going on. There's always protests. It's just this is getting a lot of media coverage, exposure, acknowledgement, but there's always been protests. And so thank God that there are people that can protest, that there are people that know how to protest and bring these things to attention because it's important. It's so vital and important, but not everybody can do that. For whatever reason, not everyone can stop what they're doing and go to a protest, or attend a protest, organize a protest. They just can't, but they want to do something, and they feel like they need to do something. They just don't know what. A lot of things are going on, and there's a lot of ways that you can contribute money. And that's great if you can do that. They have different GoFundMe set up into place to help with different things. They have different organizations that you can contribute money to. They have the Stand with Minnesota. They have all of these different things, and that's great. If you can do that and you have the ability to do that, fantastic. And that is something that you can do that is definitely appreciated and needed with so many, I'm specifically talking about the state of Minnesota, with so many of their businesses suffering from all of this that's going on right now. It is important for us to support, or to be able to support, whether it's $1, whether it's $5, whether it's 100, 1,000, whatever a person has. And if you have the means to do that, that's fantastic. But not everyone does. And a lot of people are like, well, I can't give money, so I can't help, and da-da-da-da. And that's so not true. There are so many other things to do. And okay, so you're not in Minnesota. You're not in any area that's close to Minneapolis, and that's okay too. Because you can do something right in your area. There are ways to help this situation that we're in your area. Because we all need to be prepared, right? We all need to be prepared. And with all of the threats of holding up government funding that is going to help people in need, for all of the questions about health care, for all of these different things, for our safety. A lot of people across this country is worried about their communities being invaded. A lot of the immigrant populations around our country are scared, are fearful, and we can help. We can make a difference. And by doing that, it'll bring clarity to ourselves. It gives us such joy as human beings to be able to help, to be able to come together, to be part of a group, to belong. There's so many positive things that happen just from those actions, and you can support each other. These organizations that are fighting for humanity and human decency, they need help. They need your support. And they need to know that what they're doing matters. So, go to these websites, go to supportminnesota.com, go to Minnesota Mutual Aid, their website, and just send a note of support. Just simple, hey, we're with you guys, da-da-da, I appreciate what you're doing, da-da-da-da-da. Those kind of things are so important in your area, in your surrounding area. Just going to these organizations, various organizations, be it a food pantry, be it a free healthcare clinic, all of these after school programs, whatever, if you can just go and show some encouragement, bring the staff of the organization, bring them a snack. Let them know you care. It's cold over here. This is the winter months. Take them hot beverages. Let people see that you care and see that what they're doing matters and see that they're important. Bake them cookies or cupcakes or a cake or make a meal or a snack. You can do all these things that show you care, and it shows the organization, the staff, the members, that what they're doing is important. That's a simple act that you can do. Donate your time. Donate your skills. We can do so many different things. And at that time that we're doing these things, it's focusing on others, but it's also focusing on ourselves. And those things are so important. And that's the things that matter. Just knowing that there's another person there, standing in solidarity. We do not like to be alone. We are not creatures that are supposed to be on our own. And it's important for us to remember that. And it's important for us to join together in solidarity and to let each other know, hey, I see you, I hear you, and I'm with you. You can do all these things. You can take, if you see an immigrant family in your community, if you see someone that looks different than you, maybe they have a physical disability, maybe they have a mental challenge of some sort. But if you see that, show them kindness in some way. Take them dinner. Offer your time to talk with them, to get to know them. It's so important for us to encourage each other. And those are simple things that we can do to make a difference. And I know it seems like something little or something small, insignificant, but it all matters. You know, when I was in Minneapolis, and I was at the protest at the Whipple building, I was amazed at all of the people that were coming and offering hot coffee, hot apple cider, pizza, donuts, hand warmers, toe warmers, constantly. They were constantly offering those things to the protesters because it mattered. Those simple actions mattered. And that's the thing, right? We just need to know that we're cared for. And even when we're in those messy middle moments that we're lost in the woods and our brain seems foggy and we need clarity, sometimes that's the way that we get out. That's the way that we gain clarity, is with each other. There are times, I'm speaking for myself, there are times when I need to be alone, when I just need to be alone. I need to be with myself and things. But there are also times when I have to be with people. I have to be around people that I understand or that understands me. We don't always have to say things. Sometimes the best things are left unsaid because you know. And it's so comforting to be around people that just know. Does that make sense? People that we've been through the same thing, we've experienced the same thing or very similar things, and we just understand. You don't have to explain, you don't have to say anything. I just understand you in some form or fashion. That makes a difference, and it allows space for us to continue our journey and continue our way out of the woods. So if I can leave you with anything from this this episode, it's when you find yourself in the woods, when you find yourself lacking the clarity that you need to move forward. There are ways and there are techniques, strategies that you can do that will help. Sometimes we have to stay in that messy middle moment for a while, for longer than we think, or for longer than we expected, but we have to stay there until we gain the clarity to move forward. And we need each other. And there's things that we can do to help each other. And in helping each other, we help ourselves. So I want to thank you and I want to encourage you. And yeah, you can feel free to go to my Substack, access any of my past podcasts, anything that interests you. Look around, see what I write, and I would love to start a conversation with you and us just to chat. So leave me a note, leave me a message. I'm looking forward to your thoughts. Thank you.